Alright, well here's the next segment. It's Thursday afternoon. I posted one this morning. That took a long time. That was 3 hours. Which, that's part of the course. You know, it does take a lot of time. And the longer the video, the more time it takes. And this one was, I think, 53 minutes long. Could be, I know it's under an hour, but couldn't help it. Needed to be done. So I kind of finished sanding up the rest of the frame, but before I roll it out and pressure wash it again, I took the nose apart for a reason, so I'm going to show you. I shouldn't say the nose, more like the front leaf springs, and let it all pivot down, being that everything is connected to the front axle. So then the reason why, I'll explain before I show you, is when I go to paint it, I don't want to disassemble the whole frame. That's not what we're getting into. But I did take enough of the stuff off to make it comfortable to paint and to cover what needs to be covered. So in order to be able to comfortably spray the leaf springs up towards the front and even in the back and under the frame and the nose, I had it disconnected. Take the 2 bolts out, let it drop. Now I'll finish sanding those little spots, clean up the rust some, and then I will have to, let it settle down. It will sit on its own. It's not like I'm going to lose the front end when I roll it back out there. But when I go to paint it, I'm gonna have to pretty much not only support the frame up, the whole thing, and then once that's done, take the wheels off, but then also kind of find a way to support the axles at a certain height so that the leaf springs will come down some, so I have comfortable spraying room, and then a way to support the frame up separate. It's going to be a bit of a task, but it's going to be done. Plain and simple. Gonna be done. So let me show you. Now you can see now how it's separated. When I go to spray it, I'm going to have it further apart. This is probably 7 inches right here. And I'm going to try to at least have 12 inches of space between this and the bottom of the frame on both of them, obviously. All the chrome will be covered. The wheels will be off. And that'll take care of that front end piece. You can see how I'm supporting it now with a bar going across, square stock on the jack, and that keeping the frame up. And as you can see, I got to sand the rest of this, get me some 400, finish doing that little nub right there. And then the rest of it's all ready. Yeah. And I do definitely got to clean it. So, and once that's done, then I'm going to address the areas that needed to be addressed as far as the primer, like I've been mentioning. I started yesterday on the cab, sanding those areas down. So some of it's been done. And then once all that is done, I'll move to the hood. I'm going to go to the hood and get the hood done. Alright, well, that's the scoop. So for the next part, stand by. Okay, you can see it's back outside. I pressure washed it. I had both wheels off. I started putting the wheel back on and realized, oh, I need to film this. That's so this way I can get inside the drum area on the outside underneath better of the whole thing. I wanted to make sure it was really super clean of any packed up grease, oils, whatever. So now this thing is ready to paint. Just waiting on the gears. So I can put them in there, put the chunk in, and seal it all up and paint it all together. So I'm going to give it an extra day and go from there. I don't want to wait too long for the correct gears to come based on where they were ordered from. But, I got to keep this project moving. So let's hope for the best. But at least, you get to see it being done again, the cleanliness of it. And here's the other wheel. I even did the inside of the wheel with cleaning stuff. But I'm going to get the wheels back on, roll it back in, and dry it off. Until then, stand by. Well, hello, and today's another day, and it's actually Friday. Yeah, it came quick from posting Thursday mornings, which took 3 hours to do, like I mentioned earlier. But the frame is done and ready to be painted. I believe I showed the front suspension being disconnected from the front. And when I go to put it in the spray booth, after tenure, I'm going to be having it lifted, wheels off, and you'll get to see that. I also made, I have a device that I'm using for the back to lift the back end up and keep that in the position I want it in using the engine hoist, and I'll show you that in a second. But I'm going to go over a little bit of a detail. I went over all this cab again. The hood is done and sanded. The fenders are done. The back quarter fenders are done. I'm just going to make sure my running boards are good and those side panels are. I know there's a spot on the trunk deck that needs a little bit of sanding. It's just a small spot. But the final thing that I do when everything has been sanded, before I pressure wash it, and I will be pressure washing this whole thing. Hopefully I can get underneath really well, because I am going to be coating the underneath and making sure all the dust and whatever is in there is out, because it's very important that there's no dust whatsoever on this vehicle to make it as clean as possible. And this gray Scotch pad that I'm holding, I've already started going over the whole car with this. And this is my final approach to make sure that whatever maybe little nooks and crannies that I couldn't really get with the sanding paper, whether with the block or just the paper, I try to get it with this. And the gray means it's like 600 grit sandpaper. You can go over a clear coat with this if you wanted to in between coats after you let it set up and dry, obviously. But if you went over it with this gray Scotch pad, it would work the same as 600 sandpaper. Now, if you see some imperfections in your clear, this really isn't going to take it out. I'd recommend using, 600 grit and use a block if you're going to clear over it. Or you can use 800. That's about as light as I would go as far as that. I really wouldn't use 1,000 or 1,200 or anything higher, because you really want the clear to stick. And it's the same principle when it comes to painting, clearing, and the sealer, because sealer will be going on this first, and then the color, then the pearl, then the clear. So this is used, I go around the whole thing, and the other purpose, besides getting in any nook and cranny that I might not have been able to get with sandpaper, I get to feel the panel. And you can feel a lot through this. Having your hand flat, going over the panel, rubbing it, making sure that, you get the whole thing. And if you feel something that isn't feeling right, you can pick it up in doing this. Someone showed me a trick some time ago, an older fella who was into bodywork and paint, been in it all his life. He said, take a t-shirt and just to one side of it, don't double it up. Even if you did, I think you'd still feel it. And put the t-shirt on the palm of your hand flat, and I'll pretend that this is his. And, go over it. Don't press real hard. Just go back and forth, and you can feel if there's any imperfections, any waves, any little dents or lumps. You'll feel it through that shirt into your hand. And he was right. I tried it. And I believe this does the same thing, because as I went over it, if I even heard it feel a little rough, then I grabbed the sanding block and I went over it, because if it was in the area where I sprayed primer, it might have went somewhere that I didn't catch it, and this will catch it. And to reassure, I'll use the sanding block. So this being like the critical point before the paint process happens, this is just, in my mind, a little extra precaution in making sure that I got it, and I might not be able to get every tiny little nook and cranny that this can't even get into, because there are a lot of serious body lines on this car throughout the whole thing. But you take other measures after that before you put anything on it, as far as a sealer. And even before I primed it, I put an adhesive promoter on it. I sprayed it on there to reassure that if any little nook and cranny that I couldn't sand before priming, that the primer would stick. So I follow that, and I'll follow that through the entire process, just before I put the sealer on, just to take that extra precaution. In my mind, it's well worth it. So I figured I'd give you a little bit of that, a little bit of information that might help you if you're doing anything. A gray Scotch pad, a new one. You'll probably need more than one. You probably need 2 or 3, depending on the length of the car, and you'll feel it. You'll feel how it is when you start. It's really firm, and it's not really rough. But as you use it, it starts to lose its integrity, and it softens up. I'm not saying it's bad, but you can feel the difference between when you first started with a new one. And so that you're not spending a lot of time with the same one, you just get to another one and start again, over the next part that you're going over, and you go a little bit faster. Because, time is important, just like anything else. So you don't want to waste a lot of time trying to get the same effect out of something that could be already worn out. So I'm going to show you the part that I'm using and what I'm going to use to lift up the back end. Then I'm going to take the wheels off so that I can keep it suspended as high as I need it, so when I go to spray it. Like I mentioned, when I go to do it in the spray booth, then you'll have a real good idea what I'm talking about and why I did what I did. Because I have to come up with ideas to suspend this stuff so that, one, whatever I'm using to keep it up in the air doesn't get in my way when I paint. And then if I'm using blocks or jack stands, well then, wherever the block and jack stand is actually touching on the frame, well then you're not going to get it painted. So I made this device a long time ago. I attached it to actually the hole that's in it. I'm going to unscrew this bolt, real thick, heavy bolt. Because of my building, it's got J-bolts that pop up to the concrete. See the big hole? And I made this. And these plates actually were used. I purchased them when I was building this building by myself, mind you. See the square plates? And those bolts sticking up with the nut and the washer? They're called J-bolts, and they are in the concrete. And that's what secures the building to the concrete mostly. And then I added those straps, hurricane straps, for added. I didn't have to do both, but that's what I wanted to do because I knew it was better. And actually these are wire tied to the rebar that's in the concrete. Some guys will attach it to the wood, obviously with the proper nails, and then they'll do the same thing on the outside, actually adhering it with those same nails to the concrete. To me, that was a waste of time. I already had everything pre-laid out, so I knew where those straps were going to end up being when I was building this place. So they ended up in the right spot, as you can see, and then it made it a lot easier and a lot faster to do. So I used 2 of the plates. I put it together, and this particular hardware, I welded to that plate. And I had to, I was working on a newer Challenger. A guy got into an accident and I had to pull fenders and stuff out, and that worked out well because that building ain't moving. So I noticed when I was doing this car that this unit here, I don't even know what it's for, but it was there, and I figured, oh, that'd be a great spot to actually attach something like this and lift it up and keep it by using my engine hoist. You know what they look like when they're extended. And I had to have a tap, because this is pretty thick. This, I think, is, could be 5/8. I don't think it's 3/4. It could be that, I'm not sure. But I had a tap. I cleaned out the hole because it was threaded. And then I tested it, and it worked. And I wanted it this long so that when I attached this to it, like this, that it would give me the comfort of knowing that taking this out that far, now I got clearance on the bottom there, that plate's not hitting the metal, and it's clear all the way around. It's not as important because this top piece here will never be seen, because that section right there of that cab will be sitting over this. But I still wanted to do a nice job, and I already tested it. I had the engine hoist hooked up, and it did lift up no problem. And keeping the chain on there, I'm going to have to come up with something else other than the chain, because then the chain's going to get in the way of painting. I'll find another one of these angle irons, and that worked out perfect. But because I was cleaning this outside, I had a jack underneath it. I'm pretty sure I showed this in this video in the beginning, and had the wheels off so I can pressure wash this whole thing for the second time. So that's what I came up with there. Like I mentioned, the hood's done on both sides. I do have to go over it with that gray Scotch pad, and then I got to hit a couple of spots on the grill, and along with the part that actually surrounds the grill, the support for the radiator. And once those three things are done, because there's just a little spot on there, she's ready for paint. So actually, Monday, I really wanted to get this in the spray booth. I'm hoping the heaters show up and we can put it together so I can spray it together. But it's you could say it's 95% ready to start with the color. Obviously, I'll have to paper and tape everything off once it's in the booth, but that's the process. And I think it's awesome. I'm going to start seeing some real results. I'm going to be ecstatic, and I'm sure the client will be happy as well. And it's going to look totally, totally different. 100% dramatic change. And the people that have seen this before will never recognize it, and they'll think that the client got a new car. Absolutely. At least I would think that anyway, seeing the drastic change. Absolutely. So today, like I said, is Friday. It was a good day. I got a lot done on this car. I was really hoping to hear and find out if the gears came in. They might even come in tomorrow. I really don't want it to be prolonged, and I really want to spray the frame first. Oh, getting a call. Well, that person's going to have to wait. Nevertheless, but I don't want to wait too much longer than Monday. Worst case scenario, if I don't have it, I will put the chunk back in and spray it as a unit. And unfortunately, when you go to take it back out, the nuts will end up getting chipped off with the paint. That'll bug me. So I'm gonna do my best to keep the cool. Maybe I could do other things like take care of the underneath of this cab first, just to prolong doing the frame. The reason why I want to do the frame first, because the mess that it will make with the overspray in the booth, before this would go in there, I would be able to clean the booth out again, because I will be cleaning it out before this goes in. And that's everything from blowing all the dirt out, pressure washing the entire unit inside there, get everything set up, and in order to do a nice clean job on this. So once that's done and I take it out, then I want to pressure wash it again so that I'm starting fresh, really fresh. I'm going to do whatever it takes, extra measures, to make sure there is no dust or dirt in that booth. So the best that it can come out on this body and these fenders is what I'm hoping for. So that's the reason why I want to really do that first. And then obviously, once that is painted and this is already done, then I'd be able to set the cab on the frame. It doesn't have to go, it doesn't have to go back on the things that I made there to wheel it around. I can actually roll this outside and put the cab on the frame and then roll it around and bring it in the building, I think. Anyway, but that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And Sunday, this will be posted in the morning. It's going to be a lot shorter than the one I put out on Thursday. There was just a lot of stuff that I wanted to film, and I felt what I just showed there is important, and gives a little more detail on what this gray Scotch pad does. I'm pretty sure you can see it. It's gray. They have red, they have green, but gray is for the final. Yep, gray is for the final. So until then, I do appreciate people watching. If they would subscribe, that'd be awesome. Make a comment, and hopefully I'll see the comment and be able to respond to it and see what happens, and just keep moving forward no matter what. I'm going to make all these things happen, and until then, try to get something done. So until the next segment, have a good one.